Hi, and welcome back to the Inside of My Head, where I wanted to pit two of the largest land carnivores to ever walk the face of the earth up against one another. I was hoping to see this battle in Dominion itself, but it quite quickly became obvious that the Spinosaurus wasn't going to be featured in there anywhere, apart from this little scale model that I noticed that's kind of round about here somewhere. There was that moment where you saw a sail swimming through the water, and I was like, oh yeah, it's here, it's a Spino, but it turned out to be a Dimetrodon. The Dimetrodon was cool though. So he is just like a kind of a little plumpy crocodile. Hey, no fat shaming, okay? Oh yeah, sorry. Wait, are you personally offended by that? Yeah. So in this video, I'm going to put the two T-Rex killers head to head. But please, just note, there's going to be quite a bit of artistic license in this vid, okay? I'll put forward as many of the facts that I can about these two creatures, but the truth is that a lot of the actual research is either constantly changing as new discoveries are being made, or scientists are arguing with each other about whose educated guesses are more accurate. And pretty much everyone agrees now that the Jurassic Park portrayal of the Spinosaurus is a fair way off. So for the most part, we're going to be talking about how Jurassic Park 3's portrayal of the Spino would fare against Dominion's portrayal of the Giganotosaurus, with a few facts sprinkled in here or there. You up for that? So let's start off by taking a look at what we know about the Spinosaurus, which is not only one of the, if not the largest of the great carnivores, but is also one of the most distinctive looking theropods, if you ask me. And I think the Spino got a raw deal over the years. Like, it came into JP3, it took a dump all over the T-Rex's legacy, so understandably, a lot of people hated it. But actually, aside from the way the filmmakers used it, the Spino was pretty cool. Discovered in 1912, it's thought to have lived somewhere between 94 million and 99 million years ago in North Africa, with the first specimen discovered in what is now Egypt. There are several estimates as to its real-life proportions, and popular opinion on how this thing was supposed to have looked has changed several times. But JP3 Spino is 6 meters tall, with the largest of its fin bones being 1.5 meters by itself. It's 15 meters long and has a weight of 8 tons. And you guys know I love good, dry, boring numbers like this, don't you? So you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna work it out in average penis sizes. So the Spinosaurus is 39.5, that's like 39 average size penises, and then like a little micro dick at the end. Hey, no small penis shaming, okay? Oh, sorry. Wait, are you personally offended by that? No. The Spino's most distinctive feature is, of course, that large sail, which may have been for gathering energy from the sun. It might have just been to do with mating rituals or intimidating enemies, but most think it was to give stability whilst this thing was swimming through the water. Oh, Charlie's barking. Charlie! Please be quiet. Okay. There's also a theory that this wasn't a sail at all, but a hump made of body fat like camels have. But I'm not sure I buy that. Like, if you look at a camel skeleton, there's no spinal bones here, so my money is on sail or dorsal fin or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, like I said, it's very likely that this thing could swim and was semi-aquatic, as we saw in Jurassic Park 3. One line of thinking was that it behaved very much like crocodiles and alligators do, and was kind of like a shoreline predator. It had a strong, thick neck and short, stocky limbs in comparison to its body, another thing that reminds me of crocodiles. It also had 3 clawed fingers on each hand, reminiscent of bear claws, but of course, no opposable thumb. It's even thought to have had webbed feet. Interestingly, it also had a notably smaller pelvis than other theropods, which is something I'm going to come back to later. Also, something that's going to be important later is that because of the way the skull and jawbone is structured, it's thought that this guy might have a relatively weak bite force, at least compared to a T-Rex. Now, I'm not saying this thing had a weak bite, do not get me wrong, it'd still decimate a squishy human quicker than you could snap your fingers, but compared to a T-Rex, which was so OP in terms of the downforce that it could apply, like the T-Rex was almost in a league of its own. Now, when it comes to the Spinosaurus in the Jurassic franchise, our best frame of reference is of course going to be the fight with the T-Rex. Now, Jurassic Park 3 was kind of a flawed film in many ways, enjoyable in my book, but pretty damn flawed. A good example of what I'm talking about here is when the Spino takes a run up and absolutely barrels through this colossal fence full of barbed wire and all sorts of stuff, and then is somehow held back by a door that couldn't have been more than 4 inches thick. And this moment was highly controversial. And with good reason. The Spino made really quick work of the T-Rex, managing to get its jaws around its neck and snapping it. Now I reckon the T-Rex would not have been such a pushover, being slightly shorter than the Spino with a height of 5 to 6 meters, not as long at 12 meters long, but crucially slightly heavier and bulkier at 9 tons. Now those are the measurements for Rexy, the largest T-Rex featured in the franchise, so it could be that this guy was smaller, weaker, who knows, but I really think that a T-Rex puts up more than a fight than what we saw in JP3. Now let's look at the battle between the T-Rex and the Giganotosaurus, which was also over very quickly, as we see the Giga gripping the T-Rex around the necks and boom, the rest is history. Literally. Now spoilers ahead, if you don't want Dominion ruin, please look away now in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But the climactic fight at the end of Dominion wasn't so straightforward, with Rexy putting up way more of a fight. She was still outgunned by the Giganotosaurus, but unlike the T-Rex from the prologue, she managed to hold her own for a little while. But anyway, what do we know about the Giganotosaurus? Well, often considered an oversized Allosaurus, Giganotosaurus carolini, or Great Southern Lizard, lived roughly 97 million years ago. The first specimen, or at least the holotype specimen, was discovered in 1993. Estimated metrics, though, have consistently placed it as larger than an average T-Rex, in fact comparable to the largest specimens of T-Rex. But one interesting fact is that while the Giganotosaurus's femur is definitely longer than the T-Rex's was wider, prompting the assertion that it had to develop that way to support the large weight of the T-Rex. So it was probably heavier and bulkier. So whilst it seems that both of these creatures are at least as big as the T-Rex was definitely the sturdiest, with the Giganotosaurus next and then the Spinosaurus being the most slender. So I think that the key to this fight is not actually in the statures of these creatures, or their bite forces even, but in the power in their hind legs. I think that any fight such as this would start out as a ramming match, where both dinosaurs try to use their weight and pushing power to topple the opponent, with both of them using their heads as a weight to push down on their opponents, and using their big thick skulls as battering rams. At close quarters, Spino has the advantage of having longer arms with sharp claws that could rake Giganotosaurus' skin open. But barring a hit to the eyes, I don't see him being able to do any significant damage, and the Giga just seems the bigger and the bulkier of the two. As I mentioned earlier, the Spino also has a narrower pelvis, which is probably very useful for slipping through the water, but will almost definitely contribute to a more unstable base. And then the Giganotosaurus could use those huge, powerful hind legs to stomp down on the Spinosaurus. Or it could go straight in for the bite. Now, I couldn't find any numbers on the Giganotosaurus' bite force, and the ones I could find on the Spino didn't seem exactly reliable, but the consensus seems to be that the Spino had the weaker bite force, and it does seem logical to me that the shape of the Spino's jaws are more adapted for scooping prey out of the water and then chewing that up, whereas Giganotosaurus seemed like it could potentially go after some smaller sauropods if it chose to. And don't forget how massive those things are, even the younger ones. So these jaws are going to be going through bones the size of, I don't know, they're going to be going through big bones. Another interesting aspect could be to do with intelligence. The Giganotosaurus reportedly had an astonishingly small brain, about the same shape and size as a banana. That's weird. So I do wonder if that would translate to slower reaction times, but based on what we saw from the Giganotosaurus in the movies, it doesn't really. So overall, I think the Giganotosaurus takes this fight. But you know what? I just like the Spinosaurus more. So let's do this. Let's make it more interesting. Let's move this fight to the water's edge and the domain of the Spinosaurus. So I reckon the fight starts out in the same way. They both go at each other, they start to ram each other, and the Spinosaurus gets toppled. But as the Giga comes in with those huge jaws to try and take the Spino's throat out, the Spino uses its heavier arms to push him away and claws into his throat. The Spino manages to get to its feet and wrestle the Giga into the water. And here, of course, the Spinosaurus can use its webbed feet and its dorsal sail to outmaneuver the Giganotosaurus, wrapping the Giganotosaurus up, clamping its jaws down around its neck, which might not be powerful enough to break its neck altogether, but will force the Giganotosaurus to panic under the water. And even though the Spinosaurus can't breathe under the water itself, it has done this enough times with enough prey to know that all it has to do is hold its breath longer than the Giganotosaurus and wait for it to drown. And so my conclusion would be that the Jurassic franchise has made it seem like the T-Rex has been usurped as the largest land carnivore for the reason that it makes good drama. And in real life, these three creatures are actually very, very comparable. But in terms of the fictional Jurassic Park Spinosaurus versus the fictional Jurassic World Giganotosaurus, I would say that barring a conflict that happened in the water, the Gigano takes it. And I love these versus videos because the comment section always gets lit up because nobody wants to see their favorite monster lose. So let's go again. Get in the comments. Let me know why I'm wrong. If there's anything massively obvious that I've forgotten because I'm an idiot. And let me know which versus video you want to see next. There's already been some really good suggestions. I'm going to go back through the comments when I've got a little bit more time. I'm off to make a quick video to say thank you for 7,000 subscribers and organizing my next giveaway. So until then, please feel free to get out of my head and I will see you very soon for the next one. Thanks for watching and cheerio, bye.